Welcome to Warblock. Today we're going to look at the Sinai Peninsula operations, Egypt. I wonder why it's got these little things in there. Okay, so essentially it's a sort of more esoteric type setup. I mean, we've got a bunch of militants, or they're actually calling them terrorists. So I don't really have terrorist counters, but I've called them terrorists in their makeup, but militant, irregular companies in their sort of structure or format, so to speak. I mean, essentially, not really much is known exactly what's happening, but there's certainly a lot of activity. I mean, for example, if you sort of look at the link, I think from Live Map, I'm not sure how valid it is now. You can sort of see all the activity, airstrikes. A lot of it is sort of, there's only one little thing here, and that's just a general sort of reference to the Egyptian army aircraft launching air raids on terrorist elements in the Sinai. So most of it looks as though it's sort of happening up here, but I've sort of spread them all around because presumably they're going to do the whole of Sinai. I mean, I don't really know where they are, but you know, they've got these APCs spotted here, airstrikes. There are a few others elsewhere. There's this sort of air raids, artillery, intensive flight warplanes and drones, presumably drones over Sheikh Zayed and Rafah. Not looked at that one yet. Anyway, there's sort of activity going on here, including militant or terrorist car bombs, IEDs, that sort of thing. What's this one? Egyptian colonel killed during operations. ISIS sniper attack, kill soldier. There's a bomb somewhere, you know, like a suicide bomb. But anyway, so we won't worry too much about that. I mean, basically this map reflects that, and so I've distributed the irregulars elsewhere. The thing to sort of note about this, to some extent, well, the thing that's sort of notable about this, above and beyond that, is that obviously I put some bases in there, so you just got to go around and maybe clear the bases out. And I don't know what the numbers are like, but the thing is, with these bases, when you enter them, there will be irregulars in there. Now, it's one of those quirky things that was designed for refugees. So if you go into the refugees become activated. When the Egyptian forces go into these places, they will also activate the irregulars there. Now I could just put them in there, but it seemed more appropriate to do it that way. I'm not sure whether there's too many units when you consider how many Egyptians there are, but what the Egyptians have, they have some. Well, they only have 3 mechanised units, don't have any armour, so it's an operation, but they've got lots of artillery, relatively speaking, and they've got lots of these motorised companies, but they're only 1 strength, so they can cover a reasonable amount of ground, but they're fairly exposed to counterattacks by the irregulars. And what we've also got here in the towns are police units. So I've sort of assumed that, because it's not a civil war Egypt, it's more Egypt. They're responding basically to a recent attack on a mosque, I believe, where 300 people were killed, described, I think, in the write-up as probably the worst terrorist attack in Egyptian history. I mean, I don't know, 300, I mean, obviously a lot. I'm not sure whether it was a mosque or a marketplace, but there was some sort of bomb. I seem to recall reading about it, actually, quite a while back. Towards the end of last year, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so that's what we've got. So the police units, I think, are going to stay there. So we're basically what I envisage the player doing, or the simulation achieving, is the use of the air power to do this sort of stuff. So I wonder what's wrong. I can't drag anything on it. Okay, I don't know what went wrong there. I can't actually figure it out. Oops, don't want to do that. But I sort of just opened up another window and started refreshing, twiddling around. I think my computer's just a bit stupid. But yeah, so anyway, what I'm trying to achieve here maybe is sort of to get the Egyptian player to maybe just methodically use the air power, which in theory should now work. So that's all we can do against this unit. Now the air power is quite good against these little units, although we've got nothing on that time. There's not a lot of it. 0.65. And so this is basically the operations that you could almost be assuming are happening south of Arish, which are mapped out, and that's the position that they're in at the moment. And so we could be sort of saying, well, what I was saying, we could be sort of saying that we're just going to, I don't know what I was saying actually, basically focusing around these artillery pieces and just creating a slow rolling forward motion against the terrorist units. Now to reflect, I mean, I've done this sort of subconsciously, but I think but it's sort of possibly what I was thinking of maybe doing anyway, is splitting them up into two groups, and in one group to cover one group to sort of cover South Arish operations. My computer has just gone mad actually. I think that my mouse is just generally not working these days. It's like I've got a touch screen or something and dual screens. I've turned the touch screen, I've turned all the extra stuff off, but I'll be doing something and it will have copied something somewhere else on the page. Probably. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not the game. But anyway, what I'm saying is I put two operational groups together. One for here to cover here, which is where, if you recall that live map interface, there was a lot sort of happening around here, and the other one here to cover what we got here, and then presumably they would sort of you know, follow that through accordingly to clear out the Sinai area. You know, nothing too complex. So bearing that in mind, let's see what we can actually do with, well, much more movement. We've got 3.3, so we've not used it all. So let's see if we can move this entire stack there. And what I will do in the interim is actually leave some units there to stop any sort of counter-attack by these on the town, which I don't think will happen, but they've now moved into there. So what I'm going to do first is some artillery strikes, in theory. Press the button. My mouse clicks is not working particularly well. Click the button, click the button. Okay, 1.2, so 2.65. So we've got the option now to attack that. Now they'll only be worth 1, down by, so they're worth like 0.7. So we can get a 5, 6 against. We can get a 5 against them, which will probably be a 6 or 7 to 1. So I think we're going to do this attack just to sort of at least complement that pushback. And that was a DE, but they went over there. So they're now at depressions 4.65. So I don't envisage really the sort of these elements doing much. Now what I did contemplate before I set the video up is putting in some insurgent units to complement these sort of irregulars, but I haven't really done that. I haven't done that sort of because of that car bomb thing, the IED incident, which is sort of either today or yesterday. So you could sort of reflect that, because they can use that to sort of counter-attack. But I don't really envision, it's not a civil war. These are just elements that are going to be pushed back by far superior Egyptian, government forces. But it gives you an angle on actually what's happening. Now we've got some units in here, and they've actually got some movement left, so we could move them a touch further forward. But let's look at what the artillery movement is. You can't see that's off screen, but they've got 2.4, so they could definitely move one more. We just definitely move this whole stack one more hex forward, which I think would do. Got to bear in mind that they're sort of enhanced mobility, so to speak. I mean, they are worth a 6. They are worth 6, which I think will get them 4 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're quite mobile. So we might want to split this force again into 2. So we'll move one up. See, I've dragged. You see that? For some reason, it's just clicked the back to game. That's nothing to do with the game. It's nothing to do with. It's my laptop. It does this all the time. Sometimes, what do you do? It refreshes the page. It's just insane. Browsers shouldn't do that. Anyway. So what we've got are 2 stacks. I don't want to move them any further, but I'm going to put both my artillery things onto that. So that's 0.95. Okay, that's the turnout. So we've now got the terrorist turn. Now here, there's not a lot protecting that, but I don't think we can really do much. I mean, it's a town, so they're going to be worth doubled, so they're going to be worth 4, so we could probably get a 2-to-1 against that, against these police units. And considering it's a sort of video, I think we might as well give it a go. One there, and one there. See what we can do. Aha, 3-to-1. So, they've taken out this place. They can also attack DE. They killed the police. Oh well. Maybe should sort of do that so that it's not that possible on the first turn, just simply because that's not what they've done. I mean, that's quite a big thing. I mean, I wouldn't say that's it's so unbelievable, but Sheikh Zayed, it's not like Mosul where the Al-Qaeda units just went in there and by chance they managed to rout everything. This is probably more of a town, and they might have been able to do that, but it's not what it's not what they're doing. So I don't want to track that kind of that action, which would be sort of fairly obvious thing to try based on the numbers, because what we want to be doing, if they're going to be doing any sort of strikes or counter strikes, is going to be trying to pick off units when they're on their own. So I'll probably put something else in there, but I did anticipate something against here, and hence sort of leaving stacks in there, which is why I've got these motorised units in there. In theory I could have maybe tried to sort of shoot some motorised units up there, but I don't think I would have got there in time. So anyway, I'll edit it so that that's not really something that's possible to do. But that said, we've got these units here. Now they're pretty much knackered, but they can recover two units, so 2 points, taking them down to 2.65 if we take them out of the front line, so to speak. So I think what we'll try and do can move 5. that'll slow them down. So the terrorists are taking control of the Sinai Peninsula in a historic whatever. I know that's the one that was moved away. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's sort of interesting. It's almost given us a front line, but I really don't think that they're actually going to hold much of that. Now the thing is, we know that this unit is damaged, but they'll probably recover, or could be better off targeting these. Let's try and damage this stack. Nothing. Oh, 0.5. Now we should be able to move this forward and attack. Should be at least a 4-to-1, possibly a 5-to-1, 4-to-1. Oh dear, that is like, you know, I mean, 12, 4-to-1. Didn't need that. Well, that's going to slow things down quite a lot. Well, use some artillery. Which ones are which? I just don't know which units are which. Look, must have not moved that, completed that move anyway. I think what I'm actually going to do is one of these artillery units there, 0.3, and the other one against it, why not? I've done that sort of as a cheat really, so now I know that this artillery, I could have done that the other way, I don't know. Okay. And there's not enough to attack. So, I don't like calling them terrorists, but that's what the Egyptians are calling them. But the terrorists seem to be doing quite well. And I don't want to move out there because otherwise we could be subject to the same sort of attack from this unit and from some of these other units. But we've got this over here, and again I've done it wrong. I shouldn't have fired first. So much so that I'm going to end that turn there, because I don't want to leave the artillery behind. They've got to stay in their stacks. Okay, so they've now taken this, and it's not even an objective, and they've got a nice position there, which they're just going to sit there, and they've blocked that road from that mechanised advance. I mean, I'm sure that mechanised advance will just push them out of the way. So here, I mean, they're putting pressure on Al Arish. I mean, they've got to leave something in Al Arish. They've lost all the police units from there. Due to an operational blunder, the artillery fired before it moved, so there's been no advance here. this unit is now going to recover, allowing this unit now to reinforce here and this unit to reinforce there, and that is basically what I'm going to do, I think. I'm not going to move them because they're depression 1, so I'm going to let them recover. He's putting the pressure on there. They're basically just sort of controlling that hex. Now I could move these units all down here. Why not? Alright. Well, that was stupid. But then it doesn't matter. I'll do some attrition, basically. Unsuccessful. Okay. Egyptian move. Well, I sort of thought I should have just left it as it was, but now the Egyptians can now use their air power against all 3 units in one hit. Yeah. And I mean, they've been unlucky before, so it's about time that they start getting some decent hits. So that's 1.05, 2.30 because he recovered. Okay. I seem to do it the worst way. Just don't think properly. Okay, let's use an artillery piece against that. 1 against him. And let's follow that through with an attack. I mean, that should be 4, 5, 6 to 1, plus whatever difference he's got. This should be a 7 to 1. 3 to 1. Oh, that's because there's 2 of them in the stack, and they got another 12. You know, I mean, that was absolutely unexpected. And again, another operational blunder, as the High Command thought there was only 1 unit stacked in there when there were 2, halving the odds. I don't think the Egyptians are going to be very happy with this. Okay, so we got 4, 5, 6, so it should be a 3 to 1, but we did do some damage, and even a 3 to 1 is not that bad, so let's just do it. An exchange. I mean, they've been so unlucky, really. You know, it shouldn't be this difficult. I'm going to have to give the Egyptians a few more units. I think 1 more motorised unit in each of these, I think, will sway a little balance. But again, I think I'm pushing in the sense that I tend to always push in this way. There's no reason to sort of engage at this moment. I mean, we've got an exchange over here. There's no reason for that. We just sit there with our artillery. We've got the artillery. And we've got air power, and there's absolutely nothing that the terrorists can do against that. So there's no point in trying to go for even a 3 to 1. Although I've been a bit hopeful, you know, I mean, I don't think it was too unreasonable to expect a 3 to 1 to work. You know, I think the terrorists, so to speak, would have been probably. I mean, I'm not sure what their odds there were when they attacked Shish Zuaid, but I don't think they were as. You know, they could have lost that battle. It could have gone the other way. You know, and they were lucky, and the Egyptians have been unlucky, and that's the way the war sort of goes, really, quite often, to some extent. Anyway. One minute. Okay, well, we'll end that turn. The one thing about splitting them up like that is that they can't combine their arms in an attrition against either stack. We're still putting pressure there, although they're now dug in. I think we're going to leave these ones here to recover. Or he doesn't need to recover. but he does. So we're going to leave them to recover, and he's still sitting there recovering. They're depressed and depressed, so they're all going to recover. Everything's basically going to sit there recovering. Okay. Okay. 1.352, and I'm not going to engage them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fire my artillery at them. One. I mean, unless we get something sort of massive like a 3 on one of them. No. But that pushes them to 3.1, 3.35, 2.3. I'm not going to push these units against them because I want... Oh, they're not depressed. I'm not going to push because I'm going to do what I've just criticised myself. I'm not going to do what I've just criticised myself of, and that's just continually do these assaults when I can just hit them with artillery and just wait for them to collapse accordingly. So but what we're going to do here, what's their depression? No, they're going to recover. So that's it. So now they've recovered as much as they're going to recover. These units are depressed, they're going to recover, but these units are not, so they're going to do some attrition against that. Nothing. And they're just going to sit there and recover. So the Egyptians their momentum has been, not only has their momentum been stymied, but they've also lost Sheikh Zayed. It's got to be an international embarrassment to be occupied by these terrorist elements. As I said, it won't happen again because I'll be putting something in there. But in this situation, it's and it's sort of it's almost conventional in the in this sort of front line. They just don't own. They just have no control over any of these areas. They haven't done it, so I'm not sure how to interpret that. We could have sort of maybe tried to sort of blast through, because this is holding everything up quite a lot, because otherwise we could just start moving these motorized units out, doing something useful. I mean, in theory, I think if we'd not lost those police units, our front line would have been more like that, and we'd be pushing this way a lot more. However, it might be time now. Depression 1.3, 2.35, 1.3, 2.1. Let's use our air against this. What I did think of a while back, and not so much a thought, but it's a perception or a way of interpreting things. I mean, if you're using air power to deal with civil matters, like terrorists, it's not a civil matter. It's a civil war. That's why when I read about the when the Turkish situation was going on, or in particular the Turkish situation over towards the south. Eastern Syria and Iraqi borders, when you read that they are using air power to carry out airstrikes, in mountainous, hilly areas, it's not a police action; it's civil war. I think that was from my point of view, I sort of came to the decision: if you're using air power against, a force, it's a civil war. I'm not saying it is, but it seems that if you're dealing with terrorists, you get the you get your SWAT teams out, and once it goes to any military force to some extent, it's more a form of civil war. It's amazing that these sorts of things are happening. It's just so unlawful, really, like the Wild West, where these people are, living in the desert with, guns and probably robbing people, highway robbery, all of that. It's just so insane. So you could say that this is an Egyptian civil war. I'm sure they wouldn't like that. But so we've carried out some airstrikes on this unit. I might give them some more air power as well, just to give it a little bit more flexibility. Some artillery. Yeah, big hit. Press the button. God, I've been so unlucky. I mean, look at that. A whole bunch of zeros. 0.8. Sort of making, if we get the big hit, we can go for that push, but, they're just so bunkered down now that I don't know, it could go on forever. More artillery. Oh, what was that? We have to move everything there now. Let's fire the other artillery into that. 2.4, 2.35. I think what actually I should do is this. My artillery's moving. I'm not going to do next turn. Have the terrorists figured it out? Probably not. They're still going to hunker down there, recovering. He's recovered as much as he's going to, so we could bring him back now. We'll leave him in there. That gives us a little more flexibility here. We're not going to do anything else because they're all going to recover. Now these guys could do an attrition against them, but I'm not going to bother because I just can't be bothered to waste that more seconds doing that. Right. So my plan now is this. With the artillery there, this whole stack, and I'm going to use my air power now. I'm going to use it again against that. Press the button. 4.65, 2.85, 0.5. Okay. Artillery. Just need some big numbers coming through. .45. That was sort of big, but he's not been hit before, so that pushes them up. 6.75, 3.45, 2.5. Could go for a push there now, but this is what I want to do here. .95. And that pushes the nothing, 0, 0. 2.35, 1.35. Now we can get both stacks onto the one stack, which should take us up to 6 or 7 to 1. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. 5 to 1. 5 to 1 and a 12. Well, at least we got the DR, but that was like, it's typical of how how my luck goes. It's sort of 12. I mean, is that not the third 12 that I rolled? Now I'd want to move these into that hex, but he's already moved up, so I'm not going to. I'm going to try and take it slowly. So that's that move. So we've at least pushed these people back. Should have done something like that earlier. I'm going to wait one more turn before I attack that stack. Now they could be getting suspicious of that. They're at 2.5, 6.75, which is likely to rout. He's, getting there. Now the question is, do they hold on for another turn? Now they're embedded, they're entrenched or dug in. They might become entrenched at the end of this turn, so I think it's worth just sitting there. Now these guys, I'm not sure what they want to do, but they're putting pressure on here. I mean, their defence in there is going to be 8. So we might not get the 2. Oh, no, but the police aren't dug in, so they'll be. I don't know. What I'm going to do is a sneak attack that no one could have anticipated. Oh dear me. Look at that. Nowhere to run. Eliminated. What were the odds of that? That was a 3-to-1 odds. They were attacking at 22s because they were 5, 10, 15, 20 with the surrounds. They were defending at 7.5, so they got their bonus. I can never remember whether they do or don't get their bonus. That's why I was a bit unsure. Now they're not entrenched anymore. They probably won't be able to hide that much, but I mean that's just silly, isn't it? They're probably shouting those things that they shout after they had an unprecedented victory. Wow. I mean, these units here are just going to get right in the way. I'm going to do one more turn. Unsuccessful. I'm going to do one more turn, see what the Egyptians can do to sort of counter that in its immediacy. But these units might now have to be ignored, with a preference put back onto securing our Arish. Now let's put our artillery units against this. .5 points, so we could get a rout on one of these units if they have to check, but no, but we've done some damage, that's good. I think we could put the air power against this stack, hopefully get a rout on one of them. Yes! Something worked! Oh god, something worked. We possibly should have done that other one against that, but now there's only one in there, but he's only depressed at 1.5. This is quite interesting in a small extent. We can't really get there and there. If we could get to that hex, we could possibly eliminate that unit, but what we'll probably be able to do now is to, let's use this mechanized unit, and hopefully force him back. Yep, 6-1 on a DR. So I did expect to be doing this sort of thing now, where we feel I've got more control over, you know, attacking, getting them to rout. Much earlier on, at DE, you know, 6.35. Do we have enough movement? Not enough to now we should be able to use our motorised units effectively. Well, just to up the ante a little bit. Oh, do we waste the artillery? We've got one artillery unit on that. Maybe not, because we could get a rout on this. DR, one movement, not enough to move. Okay. Let's use the artillery on this. Oh, that's worthwhile. 3.5, and then just use the mechanised unit, which has pushed him back nicely. 5.5. Push him forward to there. DE pushed him back into that hex with 7.55 depressions. DR. That was good, because now we can move him, in theory. I don't want to move him yet, although we're really not going to get this road clear. So I'm not sure I want to leave the artillery exposed, although he won't really get large odds. From that. He could go for that artillery, although he's really weak. I'm not sure what the numbers would be. I think I'm going to go for it because I want the numbers. Or do I? 0.75. Let's just try this. Bit of luck. Bit of luck. That's not that's not how you spell luck. And the thing is, I think they went from there to there. I was pushing it a bit, I guess. I should have brought him into the attack. DR. Push one into there and one into there. And I can take Irish. Wow, that's changed things quite a lot. Let's depression 1, depression 2.5. That's changed things quite a lot. It's become quite interesting, really. And one of the reasons I put these low value, high volume motorized units was to give that sort of this ability to sort of cover space. And I think it's working quite well, but I'm intrigued, so I'm going to do another turn now just to see what these people can actually do. I mean, they took that for an instant. The Egyptians saved face by recovering it, but we've made no ground at all. I mean, I think it could go the other way, even just by replaying, but I mean, he's at 8.5, so he really needs to get out of there. I mean, he could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, head back to that base. I think you're going to have to try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, at least he'll be able to recover it a little bit. I mean, he's knackered as well, so these are both terminal. I think he's going to hold his ground there and recover. Now might be a good time to move back because they weren't attacked last time. Into Sheikh Zuaid. Well, we can still sit there and force them to push us back. Let's try this. It's not an exact simulation because these terrorist units are not really formed like, you know, the Syrian Civil War units are. So really, I could maybe not give them irregular units and give them sort of normal infantry units, which would make them a lot less powerful. Because I'm not sure that they could really be, you know, counter-attacking and taking out entire artillery companies like that. But you know, at the same time, I think if I make the other adjustments, it could work, and I do think they should have that sort of edge. I mean, obviously, they can only do it when they can get the numbers up, and when the units have been left in a weakened state, which we did there. So it's sort of, you know, they're asking for it really. Should have done that, but anyway, well, that's that. So, and the Egyptians, it's not over for them, but you know, they've just suffered one major defeat after another. Depression 0, Depression 2.5. I think it might be worth maintaining some pressure on this stack here, because we could get a retreat, a rout. No, of course, holding out for a bit of luck is just obviously not going to work. .4, 4.1, 0.65. Just use everyone. This has got to be a 7-1. But only a DR. With another dice roll of 12. I mean, you know, there's just something a bit odd about the number of 12s that I roll. Pressure 1. So that'll be, I think we can go for at least a 5-1 here, possibly a 6-1, see what happens. Okay, so we got the DE we wanted. Not enough movement really. Yeah, go for it. 10. Oh dear. We really don't want to be going into those bases and waking out the serpent. Pushing 8.35. DE pushing him back there, 10.35. Wow. Okay. What have we got in here? We've got some units here. I think we need them over here, don't we, really? I'm thinking, should I do another turn? But basically, I'm going to do one thing. I'm just going to see what we can do against that. And we shouldn't get our 5-1s. In fact, it's so stupid that because they're worth 6, so they won't be getting their 4 to. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're probably getting a 1 to 2 on this. So much so that it is sort of actually not the right thing to be even thinking about. But if we go for this smaller stack here, and I'm just not really thinking, I'm just doing it quite quickly because we nearly have an hour. They didn't get. They got an attack and retreat, pushing over to. I'm going to leave it at that. Incredible front line, incredible losses for the Egyptians. Haven't even got to any of the bases, but we've managed to maintain what is critical in a war game, so to speak. It's sort of at least a logical front line, so to speak, with some progress. Casualties on both sides, fairly realistic ebb and flow. Some unexpected opportunities. I mean, you know, the Sheikh Zuwaid, well, that was whatever it was, but taking out our Arish for that one turn, eliminating the units, that was, again, unprecedented. Taking out all this artillery, unprecedented, in the sense that, I mean, I'm not sure how much I can constantly blame the fact that I'm doing it on a video and trying to sort of talk at the same time as doing things, whereas if you were playing either just singularly or against an opponent, you might actually be a little more focused on making sure that certain things can't be done, whereas I sort of skim over that sort of element of thinking when I'm doing the narrative. But, you know, I don't think, you know, to some extent I should be able to sort of multitask enough to be able to figure out things like that. But anyway, interesting. I'm going to change the things a little. I'm going to give them one wear unit and 2 motorised units in the towns to sort of cater for the things I mentioned. So you can always move this motorised unit up to Shizuaid in the first turn if you really want to reinforce that. Well, I'll leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to play it yourself, see whether you can figure out how it works, sign up and can play it as many times as you like. I'll speak later. Cheers, bye.